Okay. Looks like we are live. Very good, very good. Thank you for joining in. Hoping to see some people in the chat so I can confirm my audio is working. Anyway, I'm Matthew Drake, and this is a new pilot that I'm trying out here, World of Scarcity. And I would just like to begin with a prayer, if that's okay with everybody. Dear God, our Heavenly Father, we gather today over the internet, and on this Thanksgiving week, we are very thankful for the many blessings we have, and please help us to remember the lessons of scarcity and why we live in a very tumultuous world, and the need for thee and thy teachings and thy wisdom. Whatever people believe in terms of a deity, we are strong when we believe in our people and our civilization, and we hope to keep this in mind as we go forward. So, in the name of Jesus Christ, amen. So, yeah, this is not an explicitly Christian podcast, but you know, I'm not going to be I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm a religious person, and I think that we can draw a lot of strength from religion. So that's what I decided to do going forward on these shows, is start out with a little prayer. And I'll actually include a little scripture too. This is from the Sermon on the Mount. And blessed are they who are persecuted for my name's sake, and theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. For ye shall have great joy and be exceedingly glad, for great shall be your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets who were before you. Verily, verily, I say unto you, I give unto you to be the salt of the earth. But if the salt shall lose its savor, wherefore shall the earth be salted? The salt shall be thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out, and to be trodden under foot of men. Verily, verily, I say unto you, this I give unto you to be the light of this people. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. All right, fam, welcome. Thank you for joining in this pilot stream here. Looks like we finally got some people showing up. So, yeah, well, as I was saying, Christianity is important to me. Mainly, whether you believe in a God or not, it's just the fact that there is evil out there. And we're going to talk about, yes, I was fired from my job, and that is the reason that I am coming to you today. So thank you guys for joining in the stream. I'll be taking a look at the chat. But yeah, let me explain what happened here. So a lot of people, when I first tell them I was fired or really just let go from my normie job, the first thing they ask is, was it due to your politics? And I wish I could say I knew. I interviewed Chase Rachels on here a couple months ago, and in that case, it was very clearly about his politics, and some people were going after him, trying to get him fired. Now, I have tried to be fired. Someone has tried to get me fired before, and it didn't work. And I mainly just kind of explained away, it's a misunderstanding, whatnot. So, but yeah, I am public, I'm doxxed and everything. So, I knew that this day might come sooner or later. Yes, and somebody's asking here, how's your brother Matthias doing? Matthias is well, and I am probably going to take over his channel at some point, and I'm going to probably use it for this particular show. At the moment, I'm not able to stream over there, but I want to maintain the ability to have two channels. So if you are not subscribed, go over there. I'm not sure if there's a link, but you can search for Matthias Drake, and that'll come up. And just to make sure you keep getting these shows. So, okay. Well, as I was saying, my employer called me into his office last week and said, it's just a tough thing, but we don't have enough work right now. We're going to have to lay you off. Now, he did mention that in the future, there's a possibility I might be able to go back in the future. So, I think we will know for sure if it was, if I am brought back on board there. It's pretty clear that it wasn't about politics. And if I'm not, then that kind of remains up for debate. So, is this the good one or the evil twin? Yes, this is the, well, we are becoming more similar all the time. That's what I will say. So sometimes I don't even know myself, because, well, we are brothers. We are twin brothers, and the more that the world gets chaotic, I'm opening up to some of his things. We've disagreed before on the Blue Jay question, and I think we're sort of coming to terms, and we're making up. I don't think we're ever going to be able to appear on a stream together. That seems a bit far-fetched, but we're coming around to each other. So yes, we must. Oh, and I see in the chat you misspelled my name. It is Matthew with 2 T's here. So, yes. It is hard to tell if I am good or evil. But I will say, in this good or evil thing, I just don't like it. I mean, we are both brothers. We are both white brothers in solidarity with each other. We both care deeply about the future and about our people. So I'm not going to disparage him, I criticize him for his bad optics. I don't like it. I don't like some of the guests he has on, but ultimately, yes, that's right. You need a yin and a yang. Exactly. Okay, so, I mean, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so right now, currently unemployed, but I will be, and that does give me a chance to work more on the channel. Originally, I wanted to turn this into some kind of a daily show, but I'm thinking to start off with, it'll just be maybe 3 days a week. Maybe one day we'll get a guest on here to do an interview, and then we can do some kind of review. I want this thing to, of course, because I'm an artist, I want it to be focused around art and culture, more so than just politics, because there's way too many political podcasts and live streams out there. So that is something unique I can bring. And the other day of the week will be kind of a random. I was thinking perhaps, well, the debates. I've done debates in the past. I've hosted those, and people seem to like those. Another thing I could try, though, is just, putting my pen to tablet, if you will, and taking suggestions from the chat. So if you want me to draw something live, I could do that, or maybe a how-to series on drawing. So, let me know. There's a contact form on my website if you want to drop in and just give me your advice. I'm definitely open. I am a ship going downstream, and you guys are the waves, and suggestions, especially if they're backed with a monetary signal or something, will very well push me in the right direction. So I want this to be our show, really. Okay, just looking. Love the glasses. Time up the art game. Your art is a great game. Yes, and I will say that doesn't, just because I'm doing this new venture here, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna stop with the art. A lot of people like it. Go check out the newest episode of Nationalist Scorecard, which is on Ron Paul. I think you'll really like that one. Yeah, and that one, and that was actually a commissioned piece. So somebody really wanted me to talk about Ron Paul, so I give the people what they want. Yeah, somebody mentioned stream.me. I'm not too familiar with it right now. I'm just gonna stick to chat, YouTube. So a lot of you know JF, and he is edgy as well, I suppose, relatively speaking, and so he has been able to stay on YouTube. He hasn't gotten any streams shut down, even though he's had controversial people like Dr. David Duke on his channel. And yeah, I think for now we can stick with YouTube. They do take kind of a heavy cut, but yeah. Yeah, and I think the super chats should be activated on this channel, so that's always an option. Maybe Matthias can interview David Duke. Yeah, and I know it's like I even think I've seen some of his streams getting into trouble just because it has David Duke in the title, so that is worrying, right? How can one man be hate speech? Just the name of one man. Somebody says JF will be banned. We'll see. We'll see. Do you think that you'll do media reviews like you did for Game of Thrones? Yeah, so that's what I was talking about with reviews. I don't watch a lot of movies, to be honest. Oh, focus. Okay. I don't watch a lot of movies. So, maybe. I could see book reviews at some point, but I think mainly what I want to do is talking about things that people call art in the world. A lot of people, even though there's artistic merit in movies and stuff, people don't think of that as art, whereas literature music, even a lot of these things come to mind. So yeah, anything that's cultural is fair game, I think. But what I want to do now is I want to give an explanation of why I called this world of scarcity. Certainly there are a lot of things I could have called this, but well, it kind of comes from economics, right? And this isn't a podcast about economics, but for a long time people know I was a libertarian. I was really into things, philosophical theories about the money supply, about the what is the value of money, what is real money, and how do we determine things like property rights. So it was really do like people like Hans Hermann Hoppe, and I still respect him to some degree. I would disagree that we need to shy away from collectivism. This is what a lot of libertarians say, because, well, I will get to why. But let me just read from Hoppe's book. This is his early book, A Theory of Socialism and Capitalism. And stay with me, guys. Stay with me. This isn't going to be that boring. Or maybe it will, but then I will tie it into the real purpose later. So bear with me here. Let us start with an elucidation of the precondition necessary for the concept of property to emerge. For a concept of property to arise, there must be a scarcity of goods. Should there be no scarcity, and should all goods be so-called free goods, whose use by any one person for any one purpose would not in any way exclude or interfere with or restrict its use by any other person or for any other purpose, then there would be no need for property. If, let us say, due to some paradisiac superabundance of bananas, my present consumption of bananas does not in any way reduce my own future supply of bananas, nor the present or the future supply of bananas for any other person, then the assignment of property rights here with respect to bananas would be superfluous. To develop the concept of property, it is necessary for goods to be scarce, so that conflicts over the use of these goods can possibly arise. It is the function of property rights to avoid such possible clashes over the use of scarce resources by assigning rights of exclusive ownership. Property is thus a normative concept, a concept designed to make a conflict-free interaction possible by stipulating mutually binding rules of conduct regarding scarce resources. It does not much comment to see that there is indeed scarcity of goods, of all sorts of goods, everywhere, and the need for property rights is thus evident. As a matter of fact, even if we were to assume that we lived in the Garden of Eden, where there was a superabundance of everything needed not only to sustain one's life, but to indulge in every possible comfort by simply stretching out one's hand, the concept of property would necessarily have to evolve. For even under these ideal circumstances, every person's physical body would still be a scarce resource, and thus the need for the establishment of property rules, i.e. rules regarding people's bodies, would exist. One is not used to thinking of one's own body in terms of a scarce good, but in imagining the most ideal situation one could ever hope for, the Garden of Eden, it becomes possible to realize that one's body is indeed the prototype of a scarce good, for the use of which property rights, i.e., rights of exclusive ownership, somehow have to be established in order to avoid clashes. Well, that one line there, where he says that the exclusive ownership of your body is the foundational principle upon which property rights emerge. That got me thinking about our bodies and how our bodies are different. And it got me thinking about things like race, things like DNA. And so, World of Scarcity doesn't have to do so much with economics as it does the scarcity of our people, of white, European-descended people. As you probably know, we are a global minority. Is it 8%? Somebody will correct me in the chat. I'm probably not going to get it wrong, but it's something somewhere around 10%, I think. And that's kind of alarming. It's also alarming that in the United States, we're expected to be in a minority by the year 2045. And sadly, a lot of people just don't know this. So I almost feel like I should start every stream with, countdown until whites become a minority or something like that. That might be a good idea. But yes, so if we accept that your own personal body is a scarce resource, then we can certainly understand the concept that your DNA, and by extension, the people who are related to you on an outward expanding level, to the point of race. And now, of course, you could expand it out further. To some degree, that's arbitrary. Like, how big do we make this circle of people that we consider our in-group? It's an interesting question, and a lot of people get caught up in this because they start asking questions like, what is white? Where are the boundaries? The folks from the third rail had a good point. We just need to push back and say, well, we focus on white because that's where the attacks are happening, right? They're not just happening for Germans. They're not just happening for Poles anymore. These attacks are coming towards all European-derived peoples. So that's why we choose to form this solidarity with each other and state vehemently that we are going to preserve, we are going to keep and maintain the precious resource that is white people. So that is where I get World of Scarcity. And that is the primary message that I would like to send. I think that it's not a message which is hateful, right? Plenty of people think that standing up for white people itself is hateful, but it's not, right? We're not advocating for murder or genocide. We're advocating for the opposite of genocide. We're saying, please stop this before whites become extinct. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say, and we have to, in order to preserve our people, we have to obviously support one another. I think that is a big theme going forward. The infighting is not helpful most of the time. I think that internally it can be good, but when we go out into the world, which is where we should be spending 80% of our time, we should be focusing on the main battle, the main conflict, which is moving this culture and waking other whites up to the realities of what's going on, pointing out who are the people that are primarily responsible, because of course as whites we do bear some responsibility in this, but a lot of this has been done under the rug. It's not a competition. It's not some free market competition. No, this is a this is a battle for control over the state. And in the past, I would have shied away from using the state, right? Because, it's violence. It's like, yes, but we find ourselves in a struggle, in which, and I think realizing that statism is violence, that's an important step. And it is kind of frustrating to see people constantly, condemning any kind of public or how should I call it? Any kind of vigilante justice, right? When in fact, the state is also using force, right? So why is one better than the other? And understand, YouTube, this is not a call for violence in any means. I'm just saying people need to reconcile these two things a little better. But in the current state of things, we can't equate the two. One is, clearly more powerful than the other at the current time, and so going in there, gaining control over the state apparatus, through peaceful means, of course, that is something that we should strive for and hope for. Some people will say, oh, that's impossible. And, I don't know if I agree with that or not, but yeah, I think that it's irrelevant whether I agree with that or not, because there's only one solution that I'm going to advocate for publicly, right? And so we do need to value our extremists, if you will. Again, not the violent ones, but the people who are going out there, putting themselves on the line. Those are the extremists. It's not necessarily the edgy ones who are just, Fed posting or whatever. They're just, and they hide behind pseudonyms, which I completely understand. As someone who has just been let go of their job, again, that may or may not be for this reason, but it certainly is. It puts a constraint on things when you're constantly having to worry about, is this going to affect my ability to feed my family? I'm sure some of you may know, but if you don't, I'm expecting a daughter. So I'll have a child at the beginning of next year. That's going to be a ton of fun. But yeah, this certainly, this getting let go did not come at the best time, to say the least. So I think that we do need to really rally around our extremists, the ones who have talent and the ones that we find the most compelling, and that we really admire their journey, their courage. I think a lot of these traits are what people need to be looking for. Seek those out. Yes, this is partially a shill job, right? Some people are saying congrats in the chat. Thank you. Well, gosh, I'm really gonna have to work on this, like, because I get going on a rant and then I look at the chat and it's just like things fall apart. Don't worry though. I will improve, I believe. I'm already better at this than I was, a couple of years ago whenever I started. Way better. So if I keep doing this, then I think there could be good things in store. Yeah, so I think this isn't just a shill job, because you don't have to support me, right? But support somebody. I think if you want to be effective, here's what I would say is that we should be paying tithing, okay? The tithing in the church is a 10% donation, right? You give 10% to the church, to God, and that furthers the community. And there are actually, I believe that there are actually benefits to doing this. And it's not just psychological, but that's definitely part of it. I think when we put something that we really value first, and we like take 10% of our paycheck and give it to people who we want to support, it can actually help you make more money in the long term, I think. And what it does is it's giving you this buffer, right? Because this is part of oh, somebody says I spelled Patreon wrong. That is true. Let me correct that now. It's patreon.com/illustratedphilosophy. Okay, I changed it. Hopefully it'll update. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. By the way, just as a general note going forward, I will not be reading your name if you're in the chat, because I assume you don't want to be recognized. So, but if you do send a super chat, I will read that in addition to your name. So yes, thank you to those of you who just tuned in. And we're talking about sort of the wake of me getting let go of my job. And I was sort of hoping to do a show for a while. But, sometimes I think it could be a sign from God, really. I think this could be him telling me, this is the next step forward. You have to, put your trust in people. You have to put your trust in yourself and in your Heavenly Father. So I think that's we'll see where it goes, but I'm very excited about this. So somebody says, please switch to Streamlabs. I don't know what are the benefits to Streamlabs. Like, why are people so adamant about Streamlabs? Is it just they don't like YouTube as a platform, that it's corrupt and evil? And I don't like Google as much as anyone else, but it does seem to be where the bulk of people are. So I do have a BitChute account. I don't think it's in this particular description, but if you go to any of my other videos, scroll down to the bottom, you'll find all my alternative media links like BitChute, etc. I'm on Minds, but I don't usually use it. Okay, back to YouTube takes 30%. Back to the topic, which is tithing. So I really do believe in this, and even though I'm getting less money now, I'm still going to try to contribute like 10% of whatever is coming in, because I just think it's such a healthy practice. And it doesn't have, the churches are all corrupt. I hate to break it to you, but they're pretty much all corrupt. I was sort of involved with the Mormon church, people might know. And I've just seen too many things, even from when the time that I joined, even like a year later, I was seeing all these changes. It's just like very clear that things at a rapid pace are being put into motion to deprive people of the what really sustains us. So I think I just got a donation. Here we go. Pure White Man gives $3 and says 148 gang gang. I've seen this in chats. I'm not really familiar with the meme, the whole gang gang thing. 148. I'm not even sure what that could mean, really. You know, I am a big supporter of the 14 words, because they're completely innocent, right? That they're not hateful at all, and so I have no problem endorsing the 14 words, right? But the gang gang thing, I'm not really up on that. Maybe you could enlighten me. Anyway. Yeah, how much does Streamlabs take? Somebody was talking about Streamlabs, or YouTube taking 30%. Yeah, I'd be interested to know how much Streamlabs takes. Well, you know, okay, thank you for your donation there. Apparently, I will be getting 2 of those dollars. $2, $2 whole dollars. Ah, boy. At least it's not 1. At least it's not 1, right? Yes, yes. Oh, I'll have to talk about the Molyneux thing, because he's been bringing up the he's been talking about Judaism, which is interesting. It takes nothing if you switch. I'll donate, somebody says. Noggin Slayer. Well, so Noggin. Oh, I just read your name. I'm sorry. Got it. Still getting used to this. I'm sure that is your real name, I'm sure. But anyway, so to answer your question, sir, well, I'm wondering if you're on Streamlabs, I'm very uneducated. I will look into it, but I'm just wondering if you're on Streamlabs, does that mean you can do everything the same way you would do it on YouTube and it still gets sent to YouTube, but the donations are through Streamlabs? That's the sense that I get. So anyway, more will come my way. More from excellent. I appreciate the shekels, you guys. It's so great, so great. But yeah, even if it's not to me, just, you know, donate. I really recommend donate 10% of whatever to people in this cause. Maybe you're not like a white nationalist or anything, but you can certainly find people who are, I don't know, less edgy people, as long as it's not, you know, Mike Cernovich or somebody like that. But there are good people who are not as edgy. I don't even think I'm that edgy. So yes, $1 fecking dollar. Exactly. Someone says Common Donald sent 50K. Wasn't there some chick who like was just a, you know, Twitch streamer and she got like $30,000 in a donation? I seem to recall hearing about this. So you know, maybe I need to eat more soy so I can get some man boobs. Well, I definitely love you guys. This is where it's at. I do have, everybody says this, but I think I have the best viewers. So I'm very excited about the possibilities here. Okay, that's enough about donating, whatever. Yeah. I'll just repeat one catchphrase that I thought was really nice that I did a long time ago. It was like a play on the Archimedes, give me a lever and I can lift the world. And so I drew out this picture of me, the lever is a pencil and I'm pushing down on it and lifting up the world. I thought it was a good meme. So yeah, thank you guys for giving me a lever. Together we can really change the world. And at the end of this stream, I am gonna go back again over the ways that you can help me. So that'll be good. But okay, so content. Maybe some content would be a good idea. Just a little taste, something. So do you guys, how many of you guys saw, do you remember, okay, the Brazil thing. So Bolsonaro is now the president in Brazil, which is kind of cool. It's he said some pretty based things. He's not necessarily our guy 100%, but hey, I think he said some promising things that are very, very socially conservative, right? Like we're talking 100 years ago in this country, socially conservative. So it's good. And he's promised to clean up the crime. But, to talk about art and to talk about culture, I think Brazil is a good place to get kind of it's a bellwether. It's a canary in the coal mine because we can see we're not too far away from Brazil. I think there's like 48% of Brazil is white. So they're very mixed. And this, how far away are we from a Brazilian type future in America? I don't know. Could be not too long. But let me just bring up this browser. Okay. So we got the browser here. And bring that in a little bit. And I just want to play. So this is a story that you may have seen. Fury, and sorry about all the ads, but of course, Fury as Girl 4 is encouraged to touch a naked man in Brazilian art exhibition as politicians call on judges to prosecute the artist. This is from last year. But this is a good kind of indicator of where we're at, right? So the artist's name is Wagner Schwartz. Wonder what ethnicity that is. I don't know. He's probably like, a fellow white. But yeah, this. Okay, let me play this, and I don't think we're gonna get sound. I still have to set up all of that, but we can play here. And basically, here's the girl, and I almost hate showing this. It's very disgusting. But, avert not your eyes. This is the degeneracy that is taking place in the modern world. And it's being propagated, it's being injected through the art world. Imagine if I did this and just put it out on YouTube. I mean, first of all, it'd be pornography, right? But no, because it's in a museum, suddenly it's it's brave and it's artistic, and and so anyway, here are the girls going back, and you can see her giving the high five to this other guy. So just the most degenerate thing ever. The most degenerate thing that I've seen in a long time. And that's why I wanted to, even though this story is old, I wanted to share it. Yeah, it says a performance with a naked man has sparked controversy after a child was allowed to touch a man's body. So, and this is the thing. She was accompanied by her mother, who looks on and encourages her participation. So, how many of you want to bet that this was a single mom, right? I mean, no sane father in their mind. I mean, I doubt that guy who was high-fiving her was actually her father. It's probably just some lowlife who's like sleeping with her mom or something like that. So this is a sign of the times, right? And it is important, I think, to get this kind of stuff out there and to get commentary on it out there, because we can't let this stuff be normalized. That is certainly what the left does to our artistic and anytime we have propaganda like the "it's okay to be white" thing, they promote the heck out of that thing. And you would think, like, why are they even promoting this thing, this "it's okay to be white" sign? Why are they doing this whole outrage porn? And I think, well, they're countering the propaganda, right? If the propaganda is just allowed to disseminate out there, then it can be effective. But if people come into contact with the propaganda through an outlet which is negative, which is criticizing the propaganda, then it loses the propaganda effect. And so I think at some level they really understand this. That's why it's so important for them to control the mainstream media. And I have no problem with saying that what I do is propaganda. I also think that it's art, but am I an activist? To some degree. I think that most artists are activists because in order to truly be dedicated to what you do, you have to your art, you have to have sort of a larger vision and a purpose for doing it. Otherwise, if you're just doing it for, to make a living, that's kind of the ironic thing, is artists who do their art to make a living, that's why people say they're selling out, is because they're just doing it for the shekels. They're not and I'm just asking for 10 minutes ago I was asking for donations, so please understand I'm not condemning capitalism per se, but or the exchange of goods and value, but for equal value. But there is a difference. There's a difference between the people who have it's a labor of love versus those who it's a labor of the merchant artists, basically. So what category does this kind of art, this Wagner Schwartz, who's performing his art at Labete, at the MoMA. Oh, that Labetta is the title. I'm sorry. So yeah, this whole modern art experiment is just careening towards a cliff. And what are they trying to do with this? Well, obviously, the same thing they're trying to do with porn, frankly. They're trying to desensitize people, and they're trying to support pedophilia, as well as necrophilia. Somebody brought that up. So it is an all-out assault on our sexuality, our culture and traditions, which frankly most cultures and traditions do have a lot to do with sexuality, and that's why we have the institution of marriage, etc. And they want to abolish that. They do not value children, right? They want to make a child's interaction with the world basically a hellscape. The people who push this filth, I think their desire, they would love more than anything to separate their children, especially if they are white children, to separate them from their parents. And they want to raise them in schools from the time they're born, basically, and just have complete control over them. They want them to be cattle. And I sometimes wonder, if they hate us so much, why? Because they have so much power, they almost could just kill us, like gulags and stuff. I mean, it's scary to think about, but they could. There would be a lot of pushback, and I think that's ultimately why they don't do it, is because they know there'd be a, revolt of the common people. But because we still have a minority, we still have a majority and everything. But what they do instead of murder is they enslave. They enslave the mind. They enslave the culture. They have a stranglehold, and anyone who disagrees and anyone who does not go along is punished, is squelched, extinguished, for all intents and purposes. So yeah, they don't have the power to just send people to the gulags, death sentences, but they try everything they can. And another part of this too is that if they can get you as an economic slave, let's say, then they will own you. And I think this is why a lot of the socialist stuff resonates with people, is because frankly, yeah, a lot of the so-called capitalist class, the ruling elite, they make their money off of exploitation. Frankly, I mean, I sound like a leftist, but I think nothing that's as successful as socialism has been throughout years. And I don't mean successful in terms of like it actually working, but I just mean the propaganda gets into people's minds. Of course, one reason is because we are born into a socialist world, which is the family. Needs are provided for, but you don't give anything in return. You're a drain on the system, but they're all kind of, people are equal in some sense, that they're all members of the family and they share the means of production. But I think that another part of it is that there's people who want to use taxation and a number of the free market so-called principles. They want to use these things as weapons, and so I'm not somebody who says that all capitalists have like good intent in their heart. So I think that is why people, they go towards the socialism side. So let's jump into the chat here. Yes, subverting a host nation. Yeah, and I remember buying into this idea that art was about challenging norms and pushing the boundaries of what is acceptable. To some degree, I bought into that because I guess because I'm a creative person, and so people who are more open-minded, that is an appealing idea, that okay, there's some kind of structure out there, and we want to see if we can poke through that structure and see if doing so leads to a better outcome. But the problem is the ones who are subverting, the Blue Jays, well, that's their whole goal. That's their whole goal, is to get a worse outcome. So, and the way that they disguise it is through postmodernism. It's through the, relativism. Oh, well, how can you say that this thing is ultimately better than this other thing? And, well, I mean, you can dismantle that from a philosophical level pretty quickly, right? Just because it's a self-destructing idea. But I think that they use the relativism as a cloak to push the things that are worse for our society. And they have their own society. They have their own country, where they generally do not push these things. Now, some people will say, well, but there are, that is changing. The Blue Jay Nation, well, they're starting to get a taste of their own medicine, and yes, but it hasn't actually had any kind of real effect over there. So, and I don't see them, all of the leftist Blue Jays who are in America, they're not pushing for it worldwide. It's just in America. So that's interesting, right? All right. Someone says people forget that Marx loved capitalism. It was a system that smashed the previous feudal traditions. Yeah, I think that's right. If you are coming from a place that's very traditional and tight-knit communities, largely decentralized, by the way, well, what is better than that than some kind of system of capital, which where you can have these enormous banks, these enormous entities that are, practically speaking, the only ones for lending, the only option for lending. If a farmer needs money for a particularly bad harvest and he can't scrape up enough, well, there are these usurers, if you will. Yes. And I'll just tell people in the chat to, try to keep it clean. He says, try reading the chat out loud so there's no dead air. Well, see, that's the thing. I'm trying to read ahead because I don't necessarily want to read on air everything that people post in the chat, because I would like to preserve my channel. So, yeah. But I'll try to get better at blotting out the dead air, guys. So, someone says they push it in white countries, only white nations. Yeah, that does seem to be the case. I asked, what's his name? Adam Kokesh, one time. I asked Adam Kokesh why he advocated for anarcho-capitalism in the United States as opposed to, I don't know, somewhere else, like maybe somewhere in the Middle East, like maybe one of our allies with, our based democratic ally, strategic ally in the Middle East. Why not advocate for anarcho-capitalism over there? And his answer, which I have to his credit, it was a good comeback. He said, well, it's because the United States has the most powerful government in the world. It's like, yeah, and who's controlling that government? Who's controlling it? I mean, that is sort of a big problem. That is why a lot of people are just waiting for something to happen in America. Like a lot of people, they're just looking for America to either lose its power as a superpower and become, whether it's through economic collapse or something else. A lot of people, maybe movements that are a little more edgy. Some maybe even fascistic in Europe. A lot of those ones. I think a lot of it has to do with this kind of new world order that has been in place ever since the end of World War II and the Nuremberg trials, etc. Yeah. So it is only in white nations, and it's kind of a shame. Like, it's like a honeypot. That people usually use the analogy of a honeypot, and a lot of people, this powerful, wealthy nation that white people have built up through their ingenuity, through their blood and sweat, our ancestors, braving the wide open seas, braving Mother Nature, braving disease. How? We can't just fault ourselves because we have created frankly the best civilizations. I mean, you could argue that, okay, well, some things are more subjective, but when it comes to quality of life in a civilization, there is no comparison. That's why everybody wants to come to the West. It's because we have created the best civilizations. That doesn't mean we're superior per se, because a lot of other races are superior in other ways. But we kind of have this thing down. And, instead of other groups around the world saying, hey, this is great. Like, can you help us out with this? Think of like that really smart kid in class or something. Well, what's happening is that, the other kids are annoyed with him because he's breaking the curve, so on and so on. But instead of going to him and saying, hey, can you help us study for this and like become better? Maybe we're never going to like get to where you are. But we can still raise our own standard, and that'll be great. No, instead they wait till after class and they go beat the kid up and, knock his glasses out or something, tease him and bully him. And that just makes him more resentful, makes him want to kind of get back at them, and it's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle. And so that is it's a shame. It's a shame that our wealth has attracted the ants to come in. The caravans now, they're coming in, and Trump's economy is actually kind of lending to that, right? So the better there's no way out of it, because the better that we do economically, the more the leeches are going to come, the more. And so, unless, until we can get some kind of border wall restrictions, we're in really a tight spot. And I think a lot of people realize this. That's why a lot of people are black-pilled and scared out of their minds, frankly. But, here at World of Scarcity, we don't shy away from the truth. We don't sugarcoat it. We tell it like it is. And yeah, it is true that things are kind of bad right now. But I haven't given up hope. I haven't even given up hope in Trump, but I try to be realistic. So let me see here. We've got 199 from John Sinclair. He says, why are the Blue Jays so preoccupied with destruction? That's a good question. Why? Yeah, I mean, I wish I knew. And I think it's fair when people point out, okay, not all of this group is doing bad things. I think that from an evolutionary standpoint, I think they are hardwired to be more neurotic, right? And so I do think that they've sort of been taken advantage of themselves by other people in their groups, and truly evil people who wish destruction on the world, and they sort of gaslight these people. They really... So that's the first thing. There are people who are very wealthy, and they have bad intentions, and I think we have to call out that evil. We can't shy away from it. There's people who are less culpable, but they're sort of being gaslit, and unlike white people who generally when they're told, it takes a lot to get us really riled up, I think, and to get us scared about extinction and persecution, like that quote from the Sermon on the Mount. I think it applies to us. We are being persecuted, But some groups, it's sort of an evolutionary strategy for them to be on the alert, right? If you're a bit stronger physically, if you're a bit more capable mentally, you don't have to be as paranoid about a lot of things. And I think that's why this trait kind of evolved among these two different populations. So I think it does have a lot to do with neuroticism and just being scared that they are going to disappear. Keep in mind, now I don't think that's true, but they definitely are a smaller minority even than whites. And so what causes people the most, what's the most enraging about all of this is that the truly evil and powerful ones, well, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. Yeah, I mean, they are bent on destruction, and I really have no explanation for that part of it, because some people, well, I mean, it does have to do with upbringing. It does have to do with environment as well as genetics. And so I think those environment and genetics come together, and they create this this culture, this drive in them, this paranoia, and they start down this path. It never starts out all at once. You just start sort of doing things that you can get away with, and then you take more and more steps, and this is the path towards evil. And I think that I do think that some people are more susceptible to certain kinds of evil. I think all groups are capable of it, but that's what I would say. It's an evolved strategy, and it also has to do with the way that they were raised. Yeah, someone says it's an instinct. They're not a hive mind, someone says. For example, regular blue jays are subjected to a lot of hysterical propaganda telling them to be scared of another hollow blank being around the corner. Someone says culture of critique. Right. Kevin McDonald. He'd be a good one to get on the channel. I haven't finished reading that book, but I do recommend it. It's very scholarly, well written. He doesn't get enough credit, frankly. But it does seem like every year K-Mac becomes sort of like a bigger phenomenon. It's like, and just in 2017 alone, I think he really, a lot of people were promoting his book, and it's been out for a while, but now it's just kind of catching on. All right, somebody says a certain event never happened. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd like to see the proof that says for sure. I know I've seen a lot of things that raise questions, and you're not even allowed to raise questions. So that's the problem. We can never know because you're not allowed to question. We offered them that with colonialism. They threw us out, then followed us back to our countries. Oh, is this was he, this might be referring to when I was talking about them sort of living separately and whatever. Yeah, I think that there is a strong case to be made for the separation of the races and of different peoples. And people talk about movement, and that really has nothing to do with it. Go listen to Black Pigeon Speaks talking about Japan, because what he points out is that Japan has a very strict immigration policy, but you can go there and stay there as a foreign worker. And once you're done, you leave, but you have no political power. But suddenly, like, we've got all these judicial, lawyers, these rulings and stuff, where everything is a human right. Everything is like, we have to extend our constitution to the entire world. You see this over and over again. With the migrants, the Mexican migrants, our Honduran migrants, because they had a bad experience in their own home country, suddenly they have to seek asylum. Like, what? I had a bad experience in my country. Somebody, I got fired, right? So am I allowed to seek asylum in another country because I was fired from my job? I don't think that should be the case, but of course they never want to universalize it. They just want it to be for us. Oh, these are your rules. You play over here with these rules. You have to let everyone play with your toys. They don't have to let you play with their toys. So yeah, Japan is 99% Japanese, but I think there's also a certain percentage of people there who they're not there permanently. So you can cross borders and not have it be this, oh well, we have to give you the right to vote. We have to give you free housing and welfare and all this stuff. I mean, where did this come from? Like, it's one thing to allow people to cross the border, but then to just de facto make them a citizen. It's crazy. And the lawyers, they're constantly trying to push this. They want all of the illegals who are here, which is somewhere between 20 and 30, or possibly even more, illegal immigrants that are in the United States, and they want to give them amnesty. And it seems like a constant battle, because it is a constant battle. We have to constantly push back and tell people, no, you don't just have the right to our stuff, to our government. Sorry, that's for us. And until white people have the backbone to say that, again, maybe it's too late because we are so multicultural, but one day we're not going to be. One day, that's why we talk about this, because one day, as long as we don't go extinct, we're going to have another chance at this. And so even if it is too late for the immigration thing, we have to learn the lessons. And to learn the lessons, we have to get to the root of the problem. And so some of that is realizing things about other groups, that there are differences between groups. Some have evolved predispositions to certain behaviors. But another part of it is an inner struggle and trying to figure out, why do we not have a backbone? Why can't we push back against immigration into our country? So why can't we push back against the media? Like, why? I don't like blaming the victim, but sometimes you do have to ask that question. Is you really have to take a deep look into the soul of your folk and say, what happened here? Why did this go so horribly wrong? And if you are an evolutionist, if you believe in sort of survival of the fittest in a way, it's easy to think like, maybe some of these genes aren't cut out for the long run. So I'd be interested to know what some of you guys think about that. But let's see. Someone says, yeah, the guest worker argument was used in Europe initially. Then we were told that it was mean to make them leave, so we let them stay. Yeah, it's like, oh, somebody called us mean, so we're just going to lay down. Japan seems immune to that sort of guilt. Yes. And, to come back to the self-criticism argument, I do understand that there's all this propaganda. It's been pushed. The civil rights movement. That's why a lot of these boomers are just so. we look at them like they're, I don't know, just another kind of life form almost. We don't understand what's going through their minds. Why are they such pushovers? So I think we really have to work hard, because to some degree we can put out programs like this. We can put out new content and try to lure people in away from the mainstream media, which is happening. Trump's done a lot for that. We see them sort of crumbling, but there's still a lot of people who watch mainstream news. But it's shifting every day, and that is a good sign. The other part of that, though, is, of course, we need to raise our kids so that they do have spines, right? We do, by this, maybe I'll do another episode or something on my thoughts on child rearing. It's not as simple as discipline, right? Because I don't ultimately think that works. And I think it kind of destroys the parents as well. But yeah, at the same time, why are we raising all of these pushovers? Why are we raising all of these pansies? These, the characteristic millennial who just like, they just want good experiences, and they want people to like them. The SJWs, oh, I'm offended by this, etc., etc. And that's a big problem. So I think it does have a lot to do with parenting, neglect, not providing a good example to children, etc. Do you lift, bro? Do you even lift? Yeah. I lift weights. I lift heavy things sometimes. I'd like to do it more, but if you saw me a couple of years ago, man, you can see the difference. So, yeah, I do lift, and I encourage people to go lift, go get swole. That is one of the best things you can do to improve your chances of success, pretty much in every sphere, whether it's romance, procreation, job performance, mental performance. You got to exercise, and specifically you got to lift heavy things. Okay, so someone's talking about white altruism being used against ourselves. Yeah. Okay, let me read the rest of it. Might be all one, but we also come from different cultures, and some of those cultures want to kill you. White altruism. Okay. Yeah, the thing about altruism, I don't know, it's like sometimes by being nice you can actually be doing bad. if that makes sense. You can be harming people even though you are, on the surface, it seems like you're being nice. Like, for instance, if you tell people, so if you tell people, or rather, if you hide something that somebody, let's say somebody smells. Take a weird example, like they don't shower, they don't put deodorant on. Are you helping them by like not criticizing them? Well, no. So, is it altruistic to even if you have the best intentions and you really just don't want to upset them by telling them, "Hey, you kind of stink." I think we all recognize that that's not actually helping them. And so that's the thing about altruism. It's like, it's only telling you about the person's intentions, and a lot of times intentions don't matter. Okay. Cardio life. Yeah, I don't do much cardio. I used to be a runner, sort of, and then I realized that wasn't helping me like build any muscle. So I just decided, okay, gotta get a gym membership, gotta go start lifting, even though I'm gonna be the scrawny guy there and all these other guys. But now that's changed. I don't feel like ashamed about my body or anything. So yeah, I think actually, if anything, my like mentally, I'm thinking that I'm weaker and not as good looking as I am, perhaps, just because of some of that history. So yeah, maybe I tend to underestimate myself, but lifting, yeah. And that can be a really great way to bond with people, is if you do have a friend that you can go to the gym with, you can push each other, and that all plays into masculinity, which is another scarce resource in the world that needs to be replenished. Someone says, "Matt, you're beautiful." Well, thank you, whoever you are. You're beautiful too, I'm sure. Someone says, "I could barely do 95 in the bench, and now I'm regularly doing 255. Those are some pretty sweet gains. I'll just say, like, the benches and everything. Yeah. What am I best at? I don't know. Maybe I'm best at deadlifts. I'm not that great at the squats. I'm not that great at the bench. Oh, but so the person who sent me that, yeah, everyone has to start somewhere. But tell me, how long of a period was that transition, that transformation for you? Someone says, "Mexicans are being mean to the caravan. Make Tijuana great again." I heard about that. Yeah, it sounds like Tijuanans really got it going on there. Based. Yeah, it's like, why can't we do that? Oh, see, these brown people in my city? Well, GTFO, man. You're messing up my swag. You're breaking stuff. That's another thing. I'm going to try not to curse on here. Squats will save the white race. Yes. All men must squat. And little plug here for my... I'm going to call them my buds, even though I've never communicated with them. The Luftwaffe. They put out some good content and stuff, so go follow them. Yeah, the protein. You got to do the protein protein bars. It's mainly what I stick to. I like the protein shakes every now and then. Wrestling is a good full body workout. Yeah, I mean, I've only done like a little bit of wrestling just with friends. But it was, I have to say, at that moment, it was actually kind of a life changer for me. So if you haven't ever done any fighting, I'm actually to the point now where because of an injury, I'm a little more cautious and I don't do any more of the combat. But I couldn't recommend that highly enough. Combat is good. Combat is it sharpens your mind and your body. Whether it's wrestling or MMA, just be careful though. Careful. You remember those? What were those guys' names? The Rise Above or something. They got they got thrown under the bus, and now they're facing some charges. The Ram guys, and I think they were MMA. So that's kind of frightening. If you are going to have like a little club, don't go to like rallies and stuff at the same time as part of that club. Pull-ups is the best. Yeah, that'll whip you into shape pretty quickly. Fight Club win. Fighting is the best workout. Just join an existing gym. Shooting guns all day is good workout. Is it? I mean, I know there's recoil and stuff, but is that really? I mean, yeah, it's good. I support it. Yeah, that's the thing. Someone says white people need to take over the martial arts gyms. Yeah, sometimes, like, I don't know about your gym. Mine's pretty multicultural. It's not bad in terms of everything else, like, at least they're not telling you stupid stuff like don't grunt. Like, I think Planet Fitness, they're like, don't grunt. It might upset somebody else. Holding a 10-pound rifle gets heavy. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I've just started this week doing, like, I guess they call it bodybuilding, kind of like, it's a friend recommended it, and like you basically just do lower weight and more reps, and that's kind of good because you get like a lot of. It really works your cardio too. Like you're out of breath by the time you're done with it if you do enough of them. Women only gyms are legal. Why not whites only? Are they only? Well, it's interesting because the men's only might as well be illegal, right? If it's too, like, it seems like they're trying to shut down a lot of these grungier gyms that are implicitly just for men. Because the fact is, like, men aren't allowed to have their own spaces now. And we know why. It's because when men get together, they start to talk. And they don't hold back. And they're honest with each other, and they push each other to get better. And the whole point of our culture today is to encourage people to become worths, to become slovenly. That's one of the biggest reasons why I say I'm definitely on the right. I was talking before about criticisms of capitalism or whatever, but the thing that I used to like about capitalism, right, and I still do, is that it's competitive. And I think competition is great. I think that people should have the ability to, exceed. And, they see somebody who's higher than them, and they say, I'm going to work. I'm going to strive to get up to where that person is. And that's a beautiful thing. But they want to take that away from you. They want to say, oh, everybody's equal. You're not better. So it's really a lifestyle thing. It's a philosophical quest. That's why I say I'm on the right. I think the right embodies greatness. And a lot of these cucks out there on the right, frankly, like they should be ashamed to even call themselves right wing. So, the term conservative I like a lot less than right or right wing, because speaking of the lifting and everything, did you guys see that study that was saying people who lift are more likely to become right wing, or I guess what it is of the people who lift, a lot of them, most of them are on the right. And so, yeah, it's like if you start lifting weights and you're some soy boy, liberal hipster, just a shill for the globalist elite, well, that's going to have an effect. That has an effect on your physiognomy. Am I saying that right? Physiology. And it's something happens, right? You start releasing that testosterone through you, and man, it's just, I really hate to see the testosterone levels dropping as much as they are, because that's just as big a problem as the political stuff, right? Equality equals inequality. Yeah, sometimes I like to say equality stands for erase quality. They need to read Nietzsche. Matt, you just inspired me to bang out some push-ups. Yes, that's great. Back has to be straight, and that's all in your form. Bad form, bad health. Good form, good gains. There's a lot of bad fitness people out there getting messed up. I would agree with that. I think it's generally good to start out. When you're starting out, just do whatever you need. If it's just the bar, that's fine. Until you get on your form, good on your form. I'm glad I could inspire people. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to just give you that, let's go do stuff. I don't think there's enough of that out there. We could use clubs to bypass any integration laws. Clubs. What do you mean by clubs? Like a fitness club? Or do you mean like a dance club? Clubs are legal except for those laws. Awesome, that's how you do it. You got to build up muscle memory before doing more weight. Yeah, I've heard that. That's a good piece of advice. I feel like, that when I started doing like squats with less weight, it actually helped my form more, and therefore I could do more weight later. Attending Planet Fitness is an autoban from the ethno state. Do you think it's just an accident that autobahn sounds like autoban? There's something going on there. Yeah, any club like that, or that you join, like it has membership fees and stuff like that. Dude, that's kind of passive. I don't like the way that's phrased. I'm just gonna sit here and like critique people in the chat. That's a good way to pass the time, right? Just bans people. 5x5 nationalism. I don't know what that means. 5x5. Is that like a mat? He meant martial arts gyms. They always try to force women into men's hobbies. Yeah. It's true. I mean, like, well, to go back to the Mormon thing, it's like they are slowly phasing out what was my favorite part, which was the elders quorum. Like after the service is over, you know, just all the men get together from the ward there, and they talk about stuff that's important to men, and the women talk about stuff that's important to women. And I loved that. It's like all churches should have this kind of thing. And now they're kind of phasing it back. They're going to less hours, and so that isn't going to be happening as much. And I feel like eventually it's just going to get cut out, because you can't exclude women from anything, anywhere. But, you know, that's just a formal thing, right? You can still have your informal groups. You go out there, get a group of 5 guys, and go do something. Like, it could be as lame as picking up trash. Well, that's not lame, I mean, because that actually, you know, I'm thinking of, like, Identity Europa and stuff. But, yeah, volunteer work. You could go, like, lift. You could go fight. You could go, you know, just don't, stuff that's not like the bar. Just don't, it's so stupid. That's where they want people to be. And that should be suspicious to you, is like they want you drinking and smoking and doing drugs, because frankly, then you're going to be impotent. You're not going to reproduce any. Churches are also exempt from integration laws. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good to know. That's good to know. You know, I'll let you in on a little secret. I am hoping to start my own church. Don't tell anybody. I may have already started it, but it's just word of mouth. So be very quiet about it. No, people aren't supposed to know. Yeah. All right. No male space is sacred to women. No male space is sacred to women. I'm trying to figure out what that means. I mean, certainly women wouldn't want to be involved in it, at least if they're feminine women, right? Like, feminine women understand that the men should have their own places. Like, this, they get this, and they're encouraging of it, right? You know, my wife sometimes will say, are you getting enough like male time, or alone time, etc.? Because it can be a bit of a drain to be around women a lot of times, and you act differently, frankly. We all know this. We all know the way sexuality plays out, and you act differently when you're in a group of men as opposed to just public space. Women love invading male spaces. LOL. Some women, like I said, certainly the feminists loved that. Do you guys like Lacey Lynn? I've had her on the show before. She can be, well. Let me ask you that, everybody. It's because I know that my audience is mostly male. So, do you think that I should just have men on the channel, or do you think that from time to time it would be okay to have interesting women come on here? So if you want only male guests on the channel, press 1. And if if you want women mixed in, press 3. Don't press 2. Now let's see what people come up with. I gotta take a drink of water. So we're trying to figure out, should this be sort of like a all male space? Not that there can't be women in the chat. Women are welcome to come in and watch, of course. Never gonna throw women out. But someone says Lacey Lynn is totally not a thought. Yeah, she's very traditional, right? Now, the whole thought thing, yeah, I agree. There's some women that use their sexuality to their advantage. And sometimes I'm okay with that, sometimes I'm not. I don't really have sort of a hardline position on the thought question. But I do think I would like to see more strictly male spaces. So, wait, nobody's pressing a number? What's going on here? All right, well, I guess I'll just decide then. Women are a meme, men are inventive, women are not so much. I'm fine with interesting women, but if her only thing is being trad, that is a pass. Right, okay. Right, yeah. I definitely agree that there's some women that that's kind of their shtick, and they're just like, hey, this is you know, isn't it so cool? I'm a woman, I don't like feminism. Okay, so sounds like people are open to sometimes having a woman, as long as it's not just like doing it for the sake of having a woman, or because she's trad and we're talking about traditions. Oh, what is the vote? It was you know, press 1 if you don't want me to invite women, or 2 if, oh wait, no, it was 3. This whole number thing, like, they should just allow surveys. So come on, YouTube, get it together. Anyway, oh yeah, Lana from Red Ice. I like her stuff. So yeah, I think because it is just me now, if I had like a panel of people like they do, say, on This Week on the Alt-Right. By the way, I'm gonna probably be on that show tomorrow. I haven't confirmed, but that's the plan as of right now. So definitely check me out. I think it's at 2 p.m. on Wednesdays. But yeah, like they just have this group of men, and I think it works really well. And there was one time when I had one, I won't say who it was. I had one man and one woman on my stream. Oh, also Jared House. So I guess 2 women. I had two men and 1 man. I mean, one woman and 2 men, and it just didn't. You know, like, she kind of dominated a lot of the conversation, and like we didn't get to talk between us about men stuff, and that was kind of disappointing. So I think I will mostly invite on men, but if I do come across an interesting woman, I'm not going to hesitate to have her on. Someone says Mark Collette is the best. Yeah, you know, well, I shouldn't nag him. Sometimes I'm a little, not so hot on Mark when it comes to the hosting, but everything else he does is superb. I shouldn't really even be criticizing him. Like, he does such a great job. His videos are phenomenal, and I love what he has to say. But yeah, it's a solid production over there. You should go on Dingo's podcast, Southern AF. Right, I've heard about that guy. Have I read Mark's book? I have not. I know it's free. You can get it for free. Oh, well, someone says, yeah, you and Mark Collette need to hook up. Well, I have had him on my channel more than once. I also went, I was on the public space with JF one time. He had me, Mark, and Brittany Venti on. And that was interesting. Speaking of mixing men and women, that's probably another time that it didn't really help to have a woman thrown in the mix. Depends on what they're on for, I guess, someone says. Yeah, invite women and grill them. That's another thing. Like, if it's a debate, I'm all for it. I'll invite anybody on for, like, a debate. That's a good point. And, I mean, frankly, women do bring the views, so it's kind of nice. Let's see. Someone says he has cleaned up his show. If that was a reason why you might not have wanted to go on. I'm trying to figure out who. Oh, he's talking about Southern Dingo. Excuse me. I will warn you guys though. I burp a lot. And like I have to drink water. I'm just being super upfront. I hope I'm not sharing too much, but I'll try not to gross you guys out with the burping. Venti is one of those ladies liking the attention a bit too much. Yes, I could agree with that. Yes. I think she's a Twitch streamer, right? She like shows a lot of cleavage. There is one woman who I got the chance to meet recently. And I don't know if I want to say... No, I'm not going to say who it is, but I could see having her on. Okay, in reference to Southern Dingo, he used to use slurs in his podcast. He doesn't say them anymore. Right. Okay. That's interesting. Man burbs rule. Thank you. I agree with that. Cleavage equals views. Yes. I would agree. Cleavage equals views. Well, we're getting close to 2 hours. And I'm really loving this. Like, I like the chat thing. I will look into Streamlabs a little bit because I from what I understand, they don't take as much of a cut. But if I can't keep the same format that I have now, I'm not sure I want to do it. I'm used to YouTube. I like YouTube. And you know, I'm now in my 30s, so like I'm like an old fogey kind of, you know? I'm practically a boomer. So I can't do technology. Someone says awesome show. Thank you. Is this why Styx refuses to wear a shirt? That could be. Maybe he's like trying to show off his man boobs. I think he just wants to show off the hair more than anything. He wants to show off his hairy chest, and that will get him more cred with the ladies. Stay awesome. Can't wait to see you again. Congratulations to your white baby. I gotta run, literally. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for donating as well. And in your WTF, in your 30s, you look 18. Yes, I am technically in my 30s. It wouldn't change your setup, someone says about Streamlabs. That's good. That's good. If I can use OBS and still do that, that sounds promising. You could make it better with Streamlabs. Is that because I could like add in? Oh, I've seen those things like something shows up on the screen when you donate. Yeah. Well, I'll check it out. But I am kind of a boomer when it comes to technology. Okay, so to close off things, I just wanted to run through. You've all been so grateful. Thank you for joining me, and I am definitely going to do this again. Love interacting with you guys. So let me tell you the ways you can help out. If you want to support me to make sure my white family is in a decent position to get through the winter and everything, let me tell you the ways that you can support me in order of least effort to most effort. I'm going to turn on this thing right here that I can draw on. And okay, so number 1. Subscribe and hit the bell notification. That's the easiest way because I want people to be able to get these things. Also, go over to my brother's channel. I'll make sure to put the link in the description because I don't think it's on my homepage right now, but eventually I'm going to be migrating stuff over to there, and I'll probably do some live streams over on the Matthias channel. Just change that to, I'll probably change the title again to World of Scarcity. So yeah, definitely subscribe. The next thing you can do is sign up for my email list. And right now I really don't send up too many emails, but you can get access to that on my website on the sidebar there. The website is illustratedphilosophy.com. So definitely do that. Also, many of you know I'm going to be coming out with a children's book soon. And I'm more than halfway done with it now. And it looks phenomenal. If you have kids, you have to get this because it's going to explain diversity to kids in a gentle but very stark and compelling way. So, there's not a lot of stuff out there for kids, at least on our side of things. And I think this is really going to fill a good niche, a good void. So stay tuned for more about that. You can also donate through cash.me. At cash.me, and the link is down below, but it's just cash.me /World of Scarcity. So that's probably the best way if you just want to send me like some shekels for my endeavor here. And as Jared Howe would say, a market signal. Send me a market signal, please. You can also you can become a patron. I'm still on Patreon. I don't know if that'll last, but it's a good way to support me, and it's a recurring thing. So everyone knows that recurring donations are generally preferable because you can actually depend on some income instead of just these one-timers, you know. And lastly, you can hire me, and that's more open. You know, I mentioned that there was a good guy. He was commissioning the Ron Paul video. So, and I saw him in the chat today, actually. So, thank you, sir. Thank you for that. And I think he's pretty happy with the result. If you want to, you know, try to work out something that's win-win for both of us, it could be artwork, it could be a show, it could be a guest. I'm open to all kinds of bribery. So, yeah, liked the video. Yes, everyone liked the video. I'll buy it and save it for when I have kiddos. That's in regards to the book. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Oh, no, can't do these. These things are illegal, by the way. Don't do these things. You might get fired from your job if you do these. I was gonna say one more thing. Buy it, save it. Oh well, must not have been very important. But yeah, thank you guys. Glad you liked the stream. Hope you come back, and we will talk to you in the near future. Have a great Thanksgiving. Catch me on This Week on the Alt-Right tomorrow, and I'll probably take a break just because of Thanksgiving. People won't be on YouTube so much, but I'll be back starting Monday if everything goes well. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.